What's up? What's up? Straight from the chest. Welcome, guys. My name is Justin Groth, and this is a personal development podcast. You know what? I say that every podcast, and the more I reflect on what I say, I don't necessarily know if it's actually personal development derived. Because, see, I'm not really doing anything but giving you my truths. If you really have listened to me for any length of time, you know that to be the case. There's some things that I know that people that even people that listen to me frequently and avidly, I know that there are things that they disagree with. And there are probably some things that essentially convict them. And that's not why I speak on here. But at the same time, I don't mean those things on purpose, but at the same time, I can't help it. This is just kind of these are the things that I believe in. And these are the things that not necessarily I believe in, but that I accept for my own truths. And everybody has their own truths. Not everybody's going to be the same or linear with their beliefs or what they extract as their truths from themselves. But at the same time, it's what makes them a unique being. And if you can't process the fact that, this is what you believe and actually have the commitment of bravery to extract what those things are, why are you living? Because if you think that your purpose is something different than your truths, you're sorely mistaken. Your truths are directly tied to your purposes. Let that resonate for a second and think about that. If someone is let's take someone for example. Let's take Steve Jobs, for example. I know I talk about him a lot, but he's such an awesome example. If he didn't believe the iPhone, if he didn't have a certain vision of the iPhone and he just went with the norm, but he did it on a different platform with regards to it being Apple, how would Steve Jobs be any different? He wouldn't, but he could not predicate his business on those types of elements. He had to go with what he believed. And he had a vision and he executed that vision. He was probably a dick in the process to most of his employees, and I don't believe in that. But at the same time, he had something that he needed to get out. And that is the thing that he stuck by. Regardless if it made anybody comfortable or not. Regardless if it was the norm or it hadn't been done. He had to do it. In a similar sense, the way that Beethoven produced music was the way that he saw it. It was his truth inside. It was how he saw the music to be played. But at the time, that's not the way music was composed. But in order for Beethoven to actually not just become what he was supposed to be through God, but in order for Beethoven to continue this musical journey, he had to compose music in the way that he heard it, not the way that it was composed by everybody else. He heard things differently, which is the reason why we have a Beethoven to this day. If he went with the norm, we wouldn't know who Beethoven is. And if you think you're different than Beethoven, you're probably right. But the format is the same. You have truths that you believe in. You have truths that you know are innate to your every fiber. And because you have these truths, they are extracted in different ways in your life, whether it's through emotional or psychological processes. You see these things emerge. But the question is and will always remain, do you have the bravery, the audacity, and the commitment to extract the truths that really were downloaded inside of you and planted in you from God? That's what this whole life is about. I talk about purpose so much. I know I feel like a broken record with it. But to be honest, I'm really talking about truths. What are your truths? What can you not let go of? What, when you bring out, it electrifies every fiber in your body, and it brings a sense of joy and peace and excitement all at the same time. Those things are called your truths. They are what create you. They are what embody who you are. But I understand it's easy to just become accepted. It's a lot less of a treasure hunt to just go with the pack and understand that, well, they seem to be successful. What they're doing, I'm just going to follow them. And you can't see the future, neither can I, but you don't understand the path that lays ahead. And you don't understand what kind of orchestrated events are already made on your behalf to elevate you above the pack. But if you don't gamble on your own truths, you'll never see that light of day. And that's the most sorry thing that any human being could ever go through in life. To not cash in and extract their own truths for fear, because fear is the mover in all human beings. For fear that they won't become accepted, or for fear they're not going to blend in. Maybe you weren't meant to blend in. Maybe you were meant to change history. Maybe not, but maybe. You'll never understand that or find that to be true if you don't embody the truths that are already inside of you. You know, when God says, I equipped you with everything you need. I have a strong feeling that in that text, he's referring to your truths as well. That a portion of that is reliant on you being able to extract your truths. The truths are essentially a passion within you. They're the same, they're one and the same. Your truths are something that can separate you from the pack and can cause a lot of hatred and a lot of critiques and a lot of pushback, but also in the same time can cause a lot of movement and a lot of impact for people that need it in their life. And that's what I'm doing with this. So I don't know if it's developmental, because all I'm doing is I'm extracting my truths to you. I'd like you to do the same. I'd like you to cash in on everything that God's downloaded inside of you, regardless of who's going to accept it or not, or receive it or not. It doesn't matter. Because when you cash in on your truths and when you extract your truths, I promise you, you know this feeling. It's a feeling that you cannot illustrate. It's an excitement feeling. It's joy and peace all at the same time. And it's actually a belonging feeling, and you cannot pay for that. That's something you can't pay for. You can't pay to belong. And when you belong, when you know whose you are and you know actually what you belong to, it's a magnificent feeling. And no one can take that from you, not even all the critics. But you gotta go for it. You gotta go and establish that. You gotta go slay anything against it. Because I promise you, it's not going to come easy. It's not going to come easy. And it's going to pry at you every day. And it's going to be a questionnaire every day. Like, do I really do this? Do I not do this? Like, what should I do? If you're in a position that you're questioning everything, you're in a good position. Because you're going against the grain. You're going against comfortability. Comfortability wouldn't cause you to question anything. And most people confuse comfortability with purpose. That means you're not really growing. And I believe there's seasons to grow and there's seasons to remain. If you're remaining and you have a peace about that because of where you're at in life and what you've gone through in the process to get there, and it's been a growing pain, then I believe that to be a part of your process and your journey. But, who am I to judge? It's all up to you and God. It's all really, there's no one to say different. I mean, that's God's journey for you. But I would seriously argue against the concept of, if you feel comfortable and you don't question things in your life, you're probably on the right journey. You're probably on the right track, because you should question the abnormal. The abnormal being your truths, what you believe in, that is not normalcy across the board. That's okay. And that actually should be evident with you, because it showcases that you're embarking on something that's unique and profound and united within you. Now, maybe you're not that person. Maybe you're content with a regular, comfortable life, and maybe your purpose is being a mother, being a father, and maybe that's a part of your big purpose. But that doesn't antiquate into you developing a $5 million company. That doesn't antiquate into that. It just means that that's not your lot. That's not your journey. But if you feel like you're predicating all of your truths and who you are, and you're extracting that, then you're on the right track. But I promise you, even to be that, it's going to take you out of your comfort zone a little bit. You're going to question things a little bit. You're going to question, am I a good dad? Am I a good mom? Am I doing things right? You're going to go on Google, research, how do I discipline a child the right way? You're going to do that because you're questioning, because you're on the right track, because you're becoming something. That's not necessarily a bad thing that you question everything. I question so many things. I question what I know well. I question things in fitness. I question my path in fitness. I question why I'm even working out. Although I know the augured reason why I work out is because I want to be better than I was yesterday. I want to feel good. I want to look good. Now, obviously, there's some egotistical, centering around it, but at the same time, I do question it. And I know fitness very well. I know why I'm in it. But the questionings are there to frustrate me a little bit and cause me to elevate. Those frustrations, those times that I don't feel adequate, they do something to me. They cause me to level up, because that's the only way. Unless I'm okay with being just, subpar with the way that I feel and all that, I'm not. I don't want to ever feel subpar. I don't ever want to ever not be everything that God has ordained for me in this moment in time. And I realize it's a journey for all of us. But for you to be uncomfortable, and I don't mean uncomfortable from the cliche standpoint of, good, comfortably uncomfortable, all that bullshit. I'm talking about when you question your comfortability, when you question why you're in this process in your life, when you question why people are giving you the critiques or the pushbacks that they're giving you, when you question all those things, when you question your purpose, when you question your truth, that's a good place to be. You have to question. You have to be able to question your truths, because that's the reason why they're there, so you can extract them. But it's not normalcy to go all in with something that's of the polar opposite sometimes. And so it does obviously permit the question. That's okay. But what's not okay is you to ever fall away from what that truth is because you're too scared to go against the grain, because you're too scared to not be accepted. And I don't know, oftentimes I think if I were in front of more people, I don't know that I would exactly hold up my end of the bargain on that, because I don't really want to disappoint people. It's not what my first, even though I come across in such a a gritty way, I don't really want to disappoint people. I don't mind going against the grain, but I don't really want to cause a ruckus. Because maybe I am wrong. Maybe they're right. And what I've learned is it's okay to be wrong, and it's okay to stand apart. It's actually needed in some people's lives and their journeys. It's needed. And the only way that you're going to make the broad impact that you so desire, or that's in alignment with God, or both, is for you to stand apart. And is for you to be a certain voice for people that don't have it. And that's how new laws are put into practice. That's how new passions ensue within others. So I guess by default, me speaking my truths, or me actively engaging in my truths, by default, they cause people to ensue on their passions, possibly. You never know where you're going or what you're doing in life. You really only have today. But the thing that makes the guide a lot easier is when you extract what is true within you, and you feel the sense of belonging, excitement, joy, and peace all at the same time. And that's when you know you're onto something. You don't know the timeline. You don't know the timeline. You don't know how it's going to orchestrate. You don't know when it's going to present an opportunity, but you know that you're on the right path. What's your truth? What are your truths? I implore you to extract what your truths are. Done.